Hello guys, welcome to this week's podcast here at TVR Universe. Here we are, the TVR creators. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. On this week's episode, I will be sharing with you the best and easiest ways to make your thumbnails. Let's start. You're going to get value from this video. Okay guys, so if you've literally just joined us, I'm Dave from TVR Creators and I do weekly podcasts and I also do weekly videos on YouTube tips and editing and gear and things to help build your brand. And if that sounds awesome to you, like and subscribe. So let's crack on. So today I'm going to show you how to make your thumbnails using Photoshop. Now, the things I'm going to show you today, you can use in any way, any form that you wish. There's no you have to use this program, anything like that. I'll be honest, in the past I've used Paint, I've used apps on my phone, and let's just talk about that briefly. What I would personally say, the best way to make your thumbnail would be to use whatever's easy for you. Try different programs. Quite often I've used multiple programs. Sometimes I'll use maybe a bit of Photoshop to get a certain effect I want. Then I might put it into Paint just because I find that easier to crop the picture. Sometimes if I want a certain light effect, I might just put the whole thing onto my phone. I know it sounds a bit of a pain, but whatever's easy for you. If you rather just find an app on your phone, that's great as well. And it just, I just want to show you how easy it can be. So I'm just going to use Photoshop just because it's easy to show you guys. But what I'm going to show you now is basically the easiest way to do it. And then I'm going to show you later on in the podcast today, I'm going to show you how I make my thumbnail. So starting off with a new file. It's already set up here, but the file size that YouTube likes is 1280 by 720, which is, you could say, oh, it's just over HD. And that's, I suppose you could say that. And that's basically the size they prefer. Now, if you don't do it quite that size, it's not the end of the world. YouTube will sort of crop it accordingly, but just bear in mind, you might lose a bit, or if it's too small, not quite the right shape, it will sort of, it will leave gaps, or, the top and bottom, you know what I mean? It might not look quite as good. So just bear that in mind. But if you try and, basically, if you can't remember the size, you can look it up, on Google and whatnot. But basically, if you just think of a sort of horizontal rectangle, that's the easiest way to go by. So what I sort of do, and the easiest way you can start is, you've got your size, and I'm going to import now a photo. So if I go to my photos, and I've got loads of standing by, let's just do, this is interesting. Which one do I use? Let's just use this one, I think. So I'm going to open that in Photoshop. And what you could do straight away, actually, is you could literally just copy this picture like that. There's multiple ways you can copy. I find Control A just selects the whole picture, and then you can copy it in. It's easy to do. So I'm just going to sip of water. That's what it's all about. So here's my template, and as you can see, the picture is massive. Now, obviously, if you take a picture on your phone, it might not be necessarily as big as this, or you can when you take a picture, you can adjust the size of the picture in the settings, or you can just take it whatever size you got and import it in. So what I do now is I make the picture smaller, and as you can see, it's quite a big picture, but it just shows you. This is because I took it on my my M50, and the picture size is quite big. Now I could shrink it quite easily, but just for picture quality, I just like to have bigger pictures. So this is the picture, and let's see if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that, awesome. And what you can see now, that's just a picture of me. So say if you're doing an ideas video, or if you're a musician, it could be you with a guitar. I'm just using this picture. This isn't like you have to have this sort of facial expression or anything like that. It's just literally just showing you how easy a thumbnail can be to do. So as you can see, I've got gaps on either side of the picture, which is not too good. So I'm just going to make it bigger again. But what I would recommend, if you use the corner of the picture and hold down Shift, this is if you do it on a computer, you could probably just drag it out using your finger on a phone. But I find if you do this, it doesn't lose its shape, because that's something you can easily do, and something I have seen people do. They just stretch it any old how, and then you end up like a weird looking ear. So anyway, there's the picture, and what you want to bear in mind, well, I'm going to do it a little bit more. This will make sense in a moment. And so I want that a bit further over, so let's do that again. And so there you go, that's the shape. So we've got the shape, and the reason why I do this, now bear in mind this could be a picture of me outside, it doesn't matter, all this sort of thing, so bear that in mind. Now so you could literally just have a picture, you know, if you're literally just, you know, being a musician or a gamer, you could literally just have a picture, and that literally could be your thumbnail on a basic level. And for a lot of people, that does work. You probably noticed on the last couple of videos, I'm playing the idea of literally me, and my branding is orange. That's sort of the colour I'm going for at the moment, hence the t-shirt. And but obviously you might want to add text. Now what I would recommend here, I just want to show you something. If you just add in any old text, what you'll find, so say we're going to do, we'll call it interview, right, and straight away you're like, okay, and you could be like, right, I can't see that. So this, a rule of thumb, if that's the right expression, that I would use is dark text on a light background, or light text on a dark background, sort of opposite. So that's the easiest way. So say for example, it's quite, you know, I've got a dark black background. So the obvious thing would be, you know, a nice orange, and see straight away, you can see it, it looks good. And one little thing you want to bear in mind when you're making your thumbnail is, you'll probably notice in a lot of YouTube videos, in the bottom right corner of a video, it will automatically come up with like the time, or, you know, how long the video is. So bear that in mind. So I wouldn't put much in that corner, if anything, just sort of pretend that doesn't exist, because otherwise it's pointless. So say for example, you were like, yeah, right, I want this here. Down here, say, you know, half that word will get cut off. So just bear that in mind. And so just bear that in mind. So as you can see, this is quite cool, and obviously you can play around. That looks quite cool. You can play around how you like it. If you don't want it quite as big, you can make it a little smaller, which is usually easy to do, but now I've said that, it won't be. Let's make that a bit smaller again. And yeah, it's not working today, but you get the idea. Typical, isn't it? So you get the idea, and that looks quite cool. You might think, actually, I want that picture further over. So what you might want to do actually is make it bigger. This, bear in mind. So you don't want that gap there, because that looks naff. So bear that in mind actually when you're taking a picture, you have a gap, so you can sort of think of this in the future. So the idea is I could have that, and then confirm that, go back to the word. Now I'm doing this sort of quick, but you get the idea. So look, already that's quite a cool, simplistic thumbnail, and I would highly recommend you make your thumbnails as simple as possible. I don't mean that in a, you know, saying that people don't understand, but say, you know, if you have too much going on, you know, you try and put lots of different pictures on it, it just looks messy, and people just like, yeah, well, but straight away you're like, okay, what's he thinking about? Interview, right? And then obviously, as I've said in other videos, as a partnership with your thumbnail, make a good title of something that people will actually search, and then the first paragraph of the description, make sure that backs up the title. So it maybe has a title in the description, but don't just paste it in necessarily, sort of word it in so it's sort of interesting, and then just write a little description about what the video is about. And the reason I say that, it helps your viewers understand exactly what the video is about, gives a bit more information, and also it helps YouTube to decide who it's actually going to show it to. So that actually works better than tags, so you may or may not know that. So just bear that in mind, as well as the title. So that's one thing you can do, which is quite cool. And what you could do with this, actually, if I just put the word down there, if you want to sort of make it look more professional, you can use colours. And what I more specifically mean by that is, so say for example, I use orange. I'll just use that as an example, because that's what I use. So I'm going to put this square in like here, and then you might decide, oh, okay. So it just, and the whole point of this is to, I've got cap locks on, that's why it's not doing it. And then the whole point of this, what I'm doing now, is just to emphasize the word. It just bolds it out, and you probably notice this in my words quite a lot. So on Photoshop, you have different layers, everything's layers. So this is what I'd recommend if you just want to use an app on your phone or use Paint. Sometimes it's easier, you know. And I don't mean that against anything. You can just sort of, you know, you can make it exactly how you want it. And if you want to be a bit more clever with this, so you already can see it sort of stands out a bit. You can play around with different things. Now, what I personally do, and be a bit more creative, I'm not saying you copy this, you might want to turn the box around like that, just so it sort of, you know, makes it a bit more creative, so it's not boring. If you want to make it feel part of the background but not completely, you can actually optimize how see-through it is. So let's just sort of do that. So you can sort of see, it looks like I've just changed the colour, but you can also see that my glasses stand in. So what I might do here is sort of board this in, so it's right round the text. It just emphasises the text, but not too much. And then to make it look better, I might actually make that 90. So perhaps you can just about see my glasses going through that, but not too much. And then you might want to add other words. So, you know, you might want to add, I know, you might. Now, what I would say about words is don't have loads. Don't put a whole sentence. Don't put the whole title on it. Literally just, see it like a poster, you know, like a film poster. I know you have all little writings, but in a thumbnail, just see it as no more than 3 to 5 words. So, I don't know, just for argument's sake today, we might literally put interview, so see like this. I'm just sort of showing you a sort of, you know, like that. And you might have one box and with, and then I'm going to change the order. I know it seems a bit like, okay, and put it on the top. I might make this, right, let's be creative with this a minute, if it will let me do it. I do find with Photoshop, this is why I don't necessarily recommend it, it can be a bit temperamental. And you might not want to make that quite as obvious, so I might make this smaller still. And it's really not wanting to do that today. I don't know why that is. Okay. Why is it not wanting to make it smaller? Okay, let's do that a different way. Okay, so you should be able to do it normally, but it's not playing ball with us today. So say you want to do it a bit smaller because you don't want to emphasize the word with. So think about that. And so you want to make the box sort of, you know, around the word, so emphasizes the word a bit. And you might think, why am I not doing that, say, black? Doesn't that look better on white, say, for example, or vice versa? Yes, but I'm just trying to be creative, and you can see it looks quite cool. But what I would recommend is play around, find your own style. You know, it's different for everyone. So, you know, for example, I might want to emphasize Dave, and this is just something I'm just making up, just to sort of show you. So I might put that in black, for example, and already, let's see, so it just emphasizes the Dave, and then the box around it, so it just looks a bit better. I might even twist it a bit, maybe, and obviously I'll play around this longer, but you get the idea. So it sort of goes like that. I don't actually like that, so I'd probably put it like that. And it just looks a bit more creative, doesn't it? And obviously you'd play around with that and see how you like it. But straight away, you know, you can tell exactly what it is. There's me, interview with Dave, and you've got a nice little thumbnail. And what I'd highly recommend is really bold out. You know, you could play around. Maybe you don't like the colour of that, for example. So you might think, right, if you want to change it, you might go, right, I prefer maybe okay, that doesn't work, for example. So you think, right, that's rubbish. I might want to make it, I don't know, a very light grey or white. And let's just try white, just to be different. You know, you might think, oh, actually, that looks quite cool. So maybe find your own colours. What I'd recommend, actually, thinking about your branding, is find, say, 2 or 3 colours that you like. Say, I don't know, blue, green, and purple. Or I tend to like orange, white, and red. Orange, white, black, sorry, is sort of the branding I'm going with at the moment. But, you know, if you got blue, yellow and red are 2 colours I think go well together. and just play around with, you know, what works with you. And as you can see, I mean, okay, you could say, well, it's easy for you, you'd be doing this, but I've only really been doing this sort of detail on thumbnails recently, you know, before I just do a picture. Now, I just want to show you what doesn't work before I get onto the next part of the video. So if we just delete, or actually, what might be easier if I just start a new one. What I would say, let's just start a new one. I'll show you why in a minute. So say for example, we've got our Dave, and there he is. Say you got on a bit of a close-up of me there, my eye, it's a bit weird, but you get the idea. And say you want to talk about eyes, what I would highly recommend, I know you're thinking, what? Is don't do this. Right, say, can't even spell, so say like, I don't know, this be about eyes, right? And then be like, right, I want to be clever. And as you can see, it's already looking messy because the picture's badly positioned, it's too zoomed in, or doesn't really work, there's an eye in the picture. And then, you know, I want to be clever, so I want to change the font to something really like that. Think, oh look, that looks cool. And to be fair, you know, it's a nice font, but this is something I want to tell you. So thank you so much for getting this far in the video. I'm going to show you a little trick that I use to show you if a thumbnail is going to look clear or not. Zoom out. You're thinking what? So zoom out on your thumbnail, and just bear in mind that a thumbnail will be about this sort of size on someone's phone. And bear in mind that most people, and then looking at it, you think, oh, actually looks all right, but the text doesn't really stand out. Maybe if you put a box around it like we did before, it would stand out more. But just bear this in mind. This is a tip I would use. No matter what app you're using, bear in mind that the thumbnail will be smaller than how you're editing it. So if you just sort of zoom out and you can see your text really easily, a bit like, you know, on this one, say, I appreciate I got rid of that. So if we just zoom out on this one, say, you can see straight away that the text is bold, it's clear, you can see straight away what it's about. And even when you zoom out a bit more, you can still see it's an interview with Dave. Do you see where I'm going with that? So it's sort of like, it's very clear and obvious what the thumbnail's about. You know, and that's an okay thumbnail. Where with this one, it's you know, it looks all right. You know, some people might like it because obviously everyone's different. But because the text doesn't stand out, it might not be clear necessarily. You know, you could probably do a better job of that just by highlighting the text or making it bold, or just think about the font. So maybe even a better example on this would be, so say if I change the font to something even more unreadable to really emphasize, I don't know, something like, I don't know, let's find something that's really fancy but doesn't really help. So say like I do something like that, joined up maybe, or something I see a lot of people do is they're trying to be like clever, and it's not working with me today. They're trying to be clever, make it look, you know, make it look classy. So I'm gonna put, I'm just gonna put a little tiny around the eye, but then as soon as you zoom out, you know, you can barely see it, and once it's on the phone, it just looks like you've just scribbled on the eye, and you're like, what's that? And I see so many thumbnails that are like that. So just bear in mind that you just want a clear picture, find your, you know, and it doesn't matter if, you know, if you're outside, if you're a musician, you want to like you with guitar outside, I've seen that's wicked. And then just think about your text, make it as easy to read as possible. Find your brand, find your colours. So I'm just going to show you like maybe the next level of thumbnails in a moment. So if you're getting value from this video and you're enjoying the content, please give us a like and a share and subscribe to this channel. Alright, so if you've got this far, thank you so much. If you're getting value, don't forget to like and subscribe, as I've just said. And let's crack on with the video. So, right, cracking on with that. So I'm going to show you now basically what I would do in a speed round form, because obviously it would take me about an hour, and I appreciate, you know, you probably don't want to sit and watch through that. So I would probably start with my thumbnail like that. I'll start with a new one. And what you probably notice is now find your own colour. I'd recommend a colour. I'm just going to use orange because that's the brand that I'm using at the moment. It just seems simple and it just seems effective. And what I like about it, it stands out because you know. And what I'd recommend is really look at other people's thumbnails because they all vary. And a lot of them are messy, some of them are quite basic, some of them are just single pictures. You know, people, I would use like filming gear as an example. You know, if you type in a certain camera, stuff like that, it might be just the camera, and that's really cool. And actually that works quite well with a title, so bear that in mind. You might find just that. And there's the age-old question on YouTube, what is better, picture and text, or just a picture, or just text? It works differently for different people. It works better differently for different people. And what works well for you might not work well for me, and vice versa. So just bear all that in mind. So I would highly experiment, especially in the early days of YouTube, experiment what works for you. Now you're probably thinking, right, what am I going to do with this? Right, I'm going to undo that. And this is why I like Photoshop, because you can do a lot of it. And what I do, just to make it easy, if it will let me do it, bear in mind I'm doing this the quick version. And I literally draw and you've probably seen this a lot on YouTube of that sort of and I appreciate it's a bit it's a bit rough. I'd probably spend a bit longer on it, but I just want to show you roughly how it works. And let's just do that for argument's sake. And then you use the cutout tool and boom, make sure it finds all the little bits what you want to cut out. And what I'd also recommend is let it cut out onto the white line, because if it doesn't do that, you'll get this weird cut out but not cut out. But if you do that, it's more obvious that you've done that on purpose. So if we copy that, go back to our orange, and it should be there. And what's happened is, because it's so big, we have to zoom in. So what I'd highly recommend is, you know, if you took this picture on your phone, for example, and import on your computer or import into an app, it probably won't be as big as this. So don't worry about resizing the picture quite so much. It's only because I've took this picture on my Canon that it's so big, that sort of thing. And yeah, so we can't see me in a minute. That's great. We can bring me to the front. Now I am. Way, there he is, Random Dave. That's gone like that. Right, let's, just for argument's sake, let's just put me there, right? So we bear in mind we want the text. Now, if you don't want text, you probably know I'm experimenting with this in a minute. You might just want to put yourself in the middle. You might want a couple of users to be different. And this is something I would do. Now, again, find your own style. But what I've done, just to sort of frame the picture and look like I haven't just done anything, I've actually started doing I've started what I'm calling framing the picture. This is something that I've learned recently from one of the YouTubers that I follow, and it's actually quite a cool feature. It just adds we'll just do two for now just to show you. And what I tend to do is I will add and make sure they're about the same, and it looks really basic, but at the same time it finches it off, it frames the picture, so it just gives this like I don't know, like you put a bit more effort in, which you have, and it just finches it off quite nicely. So I tend to just put it in two corners, and I'm not going to say I've invented this. This is something that I noticed someone else doing, but I've just done it slightly differently to make it my own, and I quite like this style. I tend to use 3, but on this one we just use 2, and already you can see, you know, it just looks quite cool. So what you can do now, and you could be experimental, be creative, and I would say personally, put as much time and effort into your thumbnail as you would in your video, your editing. You know, it's like the third part, because you can make the best video in the world, but if your thumbnail just it's too busy or just rubbish looking, people won't click on it, and all that effort you put in your video will be pointless. So bear that in mind. So let's go with the cool look. So let's just go with the interview with Dave. That's the theme we're going with for today. If you watched last night's video, thank you so much for that. I massively appreciate that. And let's go with, I can't remember what colours I use now, but let's just sort of go with that for the moment. And then we're going to turn it just to make it look a bit more. Let's do it with the shape of me, so it goes with the angle of my eyes, so it's going to look towards the text. That's sort of the idea. So bear that in mind. You want to point towards what you're talking about, maybe, just something that people do. You don't have to. I'm going to use now I like Impact, I think it's called, only because I can never find it. Only because I like it. It's easy, it's bold, clear, easy to read. People can see what it says. So bear that all in mind. I don't want to do that. So bear that in mind. And you want to change the colour to, let's just do white for now. And it's not doing it. Cool. Sometimes this is the thing with apps, and Photoshop doesn't always do as it's told. Interview. So you can see, look, we've got this quite cool. And actually, to be creative, I might not put the box all around the text. I might just go, you know what, I'm going to leave it like that. Interview. And then just add in, just with a little with. Where should we put that? Let's sort of maybe make that against it, just to be different. I might put a little, put that up front. Boom, boom, boom. Let's put a grey black. No, it's not doing it. Wow. There's probably someone shouting at me going, this is how you do it, Dave, do it like that. Let's just do that. For argument's sake, let's just do that. And we know for a fact it doesn't always work, so let's just do that for quickness. And as you can see, it actually looks quite cool. I quite like this. And let's just do another little box. Obviously, take your time. Obviously, if I was doing this properly, I'd probably spend about 40 minutes, something like that, doing it. And then make the emphasis on Dave. And obviously this is an example, and we're going to make this black just because why not. And you know what, we might make it a bit bigger. So perhaps I should have used for the last interview. And there you go, that's literally your thumbnail, and I'm quite happy with that, because since I rushed it, I'm quite happy, and that's actually alright. And if we zoom out again, bomb, I can never find it. There we go. So if you just zoom out, you can see that when it's a bit smaller, that's about the size you want to maybe play with. It's really clear that it's obviously got you in. You got your branding, whatever colour you like, light blue, white, black, orange, purple, whatever. And then we got the really clear, easy to read text for people like me with, who are dyslexic and can't read the best of times. So nice clear text is always great. And and that will stand out. If you've got that within, if you do a search on YouTube and you see all the videos, you will see, those colours will stand out. But obviously find your own colours, being yellow, purple, light blue, whatever. You might just like pictures. You might just like you stood outside. If you're a musician, stand outside. If you're a gamer, you might want to make, gamers prefer sort of dark colours. So you might have like, greys and stuff like that. And you might be in a dark room or saying people like, oh, that's interesting. What's that about? You might put in bold letters, gamer, and stuff like that, and just play around with that sort of thing. But that's actually quite cool. I'm tempted to save that. But anyway, so there you go, really. You're going to get value from this video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you got value from today's podcast live stream. Feel free to comment below how you make your thumbnails, what programs and apps you use to do that. If you want to find out at any point what we're doing, check us out on Twitter at any point. The link's in the description. And obviously look around on the channel for other videos and other tips and how to grow your brand. And thank you again so much for watching. Thank you for the continued support. And briefly, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that watched last night and all the videos I've been making recently. Thank you. It means so much. You guys really are the core fan base. You guys are awesome. So anyway, have a great day. I can't wait to see all your new videos. To the people that I'm supporting and following at the moment, I can't wait to watch your videos as well. I can't wait. And have a great day, great weekend. The weather's going to be better at this part of the world. And see you down the road.
You want to get value.
Oh yeah, and you guys rock.